Well, welcome back. Your kids and grandkids are going to love this week's healthy cooking recipe. Joe, let's make some French fries.
I still can't believe we're doing this on the air on a show called Balanced Health with a cardiologist 2 feet away.
Dr. McKeever said, what did I get myself into?
Yeah. He said he had to go make a phone call. I'm thinking he ain't coming back. We're gonna have to carry the show somehow by ourselves. We're not doing this, we're not being contrarian for the sake of being contrarian, Shirley and Dr. McKeever, but what we are trying to explain to people is that the name of the food isn't what makes it unhealthy.
Right.
It's the way the food was made or the animal, the way that animal was raised in which it came from. All kids love French fries, so I thought to myself, I've got to get through this obstacle with my kids of not being a big ogre of a father, but at the same time, not letting them eat, you know, the
bad
kind of fries that we see.
And of course they're bad because they're fried quickly in this,
deep frying
oil that's not good.
These vegetable oils, these hydrogenated oils, they're recooked is the best way I can explain it. And they do that to keep the food fresher longer. So when you take a French fry and you deep fry it in this vegetable oil, you can leave it under a light, you know, for 3 hours and it still looks pretty much the same. Whereas if real food like this, because it's all organic, when you leave it in the light for 30 minutes, the oils in it are really predominant in the aesthetics of the potato because it's food.
And actually we're seeing a little bit of the olive oil in this because it's been sitting for a while.
So here's what we're looking at. We buy organic potatoes. And you can get these things at any store. You just push the potato through and make it look like a French fry. Right, that's where we get that. These really more look like wedges, you know. We take a basting pan. We just put olive oil on it, just lightly, olive oil. We lay the potatoes on there.
Spray olive oil, is that okay?
I'm not big for anything that's been fluorocarbonated like that. So we base it with olive oil, and then we'll put sea salt, we'll put pepper, and then we take garlic cloves. We saute them, make them a little warm, and then we put them over the potatoes. And then we bake them. At I think it's 350, you know, for about an hour and a half, nice slow temperature, just until they're slightly browned, and then they're like this.
And don't take too big of a bite.
No, I know, but see, that's so much more flavorful than anything I've ever had at a fast food restaurant.
They're a little cold, but they're absolutely delicious. And let's talk for just a minute too about the fast food thing, because isn't it true that they're making laws now that they're going to have to change from those oils? And I think a couple of the fast food restaurants have, and their French fries taste terrible.
Well,
they just don't taste like they used to. So you know what? I'm like, why? I will never buy these now because I didn't want to anyway, and now they don't taste good.
Isn't that the irony of it all? But you know what? What Dr. McKeever has seen in his 30 years of practice, he used the word, in between break we were talking, he used the word epidemic when he was referring to heart disease.
That's
okay,
true.
we all know what an epidemic is. If heart disease is the leading cause of death, more than the next 16 combined, I would consider that more of a pandemic than I would an epidemic. So in America, necessity breeds change, and I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, it is.
So we're getting rid of these trans fats, and that's a huge step.
That's good. That's excellent. And, and these are very tasty.
And I think eventually they'll figure it out, and they'll have French fries that taste good that don't have trans fats.
Exactly.
They'll figure it out. And of course, you know, we got to realize with fast foods, they're looking at the bottom line too.
Yes.
You know, and at home, you don't have to worry about that. So.
Well, when we went to break, we were talking to Dr. McKeever. We talked about stress tests. We talked about scans.
Scans, right.
We've talked about echocardiograms. A lot of people are confused in the difference between what angioplasty and an angiogram. I don't know if I'm saying those exactly right, but quickly explain that to us. And when's an appropriate time for either of those interventions?
Well, an angiogram is a diagnostic test. It just is there to diagnose what the problem is. We put a tube into the heart usually through an artery in the groin under X-ray control, and we advance that tube directly into the coronary arteries and then inject dye or contrast and take a motion picture X-ray as we do that, and we can then see the artery light up. If there's blockages in the artery, we see it. If there's narrowings in the artery, we see it. If they're normal, we see it. It leaves really nothing to the imagination. An angioplasty is a treatment. Okay. So if there is a blockage or a narrowing, the angioplasty can be done, and that is a balloon. It's a specially made balloon that is advanced in the same way that we advanced the catheter to do the angiogram, advanced up from the femoral artery up into the heart under X-ray control. And that balloon is made to cross the narrowing and then inflated and pushes the plaque up against the wall and opens up the lumen so that blood can flow more normally.
Is that usually a permanent solution, or does it have to be redone ever so often?
Just balloon angioplasty alone had as much as a 50% recurrence rate within 6 months. But then the next advance was stents came along, which are metal coils that are crimped onto the balloon. So then the balloon is put across the narrowing, it's expanded, and then it's deflated. The balloon is taken out, and the metal coil that was expanded is left behind. And so it's left behind as like a scaffold that keeps the artery open. That dropped the recurrence rate down to about 30%. And then the next thing that came along was drug-coated stents, which your audience has probably heard of. And these drug-coated stents bring the recurrence rate down to less than 10%, actually.
That's wonderful. That's
Well, you're talking about advancements when we come back. That's really what we want to focus on, the direction of heart care and where is it going, what's next on the horizon. For directions on how to make these French fries that you saw here, these delicious French fries, check out Kylea.com. Up next, we're going to tell you how to buy healthy potato chips. Yes, this is really a health show. Don't go away.